So, good afternoon to our distinguished members, resource persons, stakeholders, and guest persons today. May I now request everyone to please rise for the invocation.
We pray all of this in your holy name. Amen. Heavenly Father, we come to you today with humble hearts, seeking your guidance and wisdom as we begin this program. Lord, we ask that you would bless every person who has gathered here today, and that you would be present with us in a special way. We pray that this program would be a time of learning, growth, and fellowship for all of us. Help us to listen to one another with open hearts and open minds, and to support one another as we strive to serve you in all that we do. Please give us the strength.
Thank you. Please be seated. At this point, I would like to recognize the presence of the members joining us here today. I'd like to recognize Representative Jose Manuel F. Alba from the 1st District of Bukidnon. Good afternoon, Kong. I'd like to recognize to acknowledge the resource persons present with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are joined by the following resource persons this afternoon. From the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, we have Ms. Jolyn Pico Chapin, Ms. Lynette P. Chua, and Attorney Mark Nico A. Acabado. From the Commission on Higher Education, we have Ms. Hazel Mendoza. From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Ms. Joy R. Rico. From the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, we are joined by the following: Ms. Fatima Milian, Ms. Raquel Ortega, and Mr. Jello Ortega. From the Department of Education, we have Ms. Melissa Albino. From the Department of Finance, we have Attorney Jeremiah M. Nalupta II from the Bureau of Internal Revenue. From the Department of Public Works and Highways, we have Attorney Ryan Nino Tan, Attorney 3 of the National Building Code Development Office, Engineer John Matthew B. Icasiano, and Ms. Cheryl G. Livara. From the Department of Science and Technology, we have Program Lead for the DOST Circular Economy Program, Dr. Francis N. Baleta. He is joined by Mr. Justin Michael Beneraba, Ms. Maurice Francois Therese Modesto, and Ms. Mary Beatriz Sanchez. From the Department of Trade and Industry, we have Miss April Joy M. De Vera. From the Philippine Institute for Development Studies, we have Senior Research Fellow Dr. Sonny N. Domingo. From the National Philippine Statistics Authority, we have Mr. Polaris C. Bautista and Ms. Odessa B. Zuniga. From the Public-Private Partnership Center, we have Director 4 for the Policy and Planning Service, Attorney Fabian Bell A. Ramos Lacuna, and Mr. Maynard M. Villanueva. From the Small Business Corporation, we have Ms. Charolyn Pimentel and Mr. Ronaldo A. Rada. From Nestle Philippines, Inc., we have Attorney Kim Rances, Assistant Vice President for Government and Industry Affairs. From PCX Solutions, we have Program Lead for EPR, Mr. Pedro Paulo Ong. From the Philippine Sustainability Reporting Committee, Chair, Sisip Goris Villayo and Company, we have Ms. Charmaine T. Dialde and Ms. Erica Nicole D. Gomez. From the U.S. ASEAN Business Council, we have Ms. Catherine Beatriz Salazar and Ms. Pauline Margaret Vivar. And finally, from the United Nations Development Program Philippines, we are joined by Program Analyst for Climate Action, Ms. Gwyneth Ann Palmos. That is all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, COMSEC, and we thank everyone for taking the time to participate in today's technical working group deliberation. So welcome to our technical working group meeting on the proposed Circular Economy Act. And I want to share that when we first met about 3 months ago, and we requested, we had 4 bills, more than 50 draft sections, and over 40 defined terms, and an unresolved question about which agency should lead. If everyone remembers, no, I think we still struggle that for today. But the same question, in fact, that stalled this measure in the previous Congress. But we are in a different place today. No? The refined substitute bill has 44 sections. We trimmed down the definitions of 17 essentials and moved the rest to the implementing rules where they belong. We settled the governance question. DepEd chairs the Interagency Council, but DNR serves as vice chair. The bill harmonizes with the EPR Act, RA 9003, and PENCAS Act, instead of overlapping with them. And since our last meeting in March, 7 institutions sent in written comments: the PSA, TESDA, Design Center, DepEd, DepDev, PARMS, and the U.S. ASEAN Business Council. So the Secretariat put these together in the summary dated just May 18, 2 days ago. But I've gone through each section, no? So has my office. So thank you so much for sending comments and recommendations. So I believe the bill is in relatively good shape, when most of what came in our drafting refinements are not structural rewrites. No? So the big questions we worked through in the first 2 TWGs are more or less closed. We will not be reopening them today. Where structural concerns remain, the bill already provides the answer, and the argument that this measure duplicates existing law is addressed by how the bill builds on PENCAS EPR Act RA 9003 and Sustainable Finance Taxonomy. The concern is that it competes with the executive's National Circular Economy Framework, and is addressed by what came out of DNR and EU GIZ roundtable, which was just last week. So it was about 3 days, I believe, and it's very productive. The vision that emerged there, a circular economy that is circular by design and rooted in bayanihan. And it's precisely what this bill is meant to give legal force. There's also a clear theme running through the most recent submissions. So push further upstream, we have to mandate eco-design at the earliest stage of product development, as the design center proposes. We have to anchor a measurement in PENCAS and economy-wide material flow accounts, as the Philippine Statistics Authority recommends. We have to bring TESDA into the Interagency Council. We have to integrate circular literacy across the educational system, as DepEd suggests. And we will be accepting these, along with the other refinements today. So I want to inform everyone how the meeting, I propose that it will go. After reviewing, I want to share which ones I believe should be adopted and we can concur, and then which ones I believe we should defend from recommendations, and defer which for deliberation of the technical working group. So, considering that in the 19th Congress, this bill was approved at the committee level, but we ran out of, the committee ran out of time with the Committee on Appropriations, and we do not intend to repeat that mistake. In fact, I think COMSEC was saying that we hope that it gets presented to the committee on June 2. So we're hoping that today will be the last of the TWG. So the Philippines again, is among the most climate vulnerable countries in the world. As we have repeated in our very first meeting about this, we are an archipelago of many, many islands where centralized waste infrastructure cannot reach everyone. And considering that the Philippines is also the chair of ASEAN this year with a once-in-a-decade window to lead a regional framework on the circular economy, we should not let this pass. So thank you and good afternoon again, everyone. So we shall now proceed to the meeting proper. The objective of today's meeting is to further refine the substitute measure and resolve remaining policy, technical, and implementation issues raised by stakeholders and member agencies. So at this juncture, may I request the Secretary to flash on screen the working draft of the substitute bill as of March 17, 2026. So as we go through the sections, we welcome comments, recommendations, and proposed revisions from members of the TWG and our invited resource persons. So the Secretariat is directed to take note of the proposed amendments and language refinements and harmonize the same with the existing draft, subject to further refinement and submission of written comments if necessary. Okay, so if I may, we may go through the recommendations that we believe should be adopted. So, many, if not most, or I guess all of you have are familiar with March 17 working draft, and you have presented. The body has presented 17 amendments that I believe should be adopted today as drafting refinements. So I want to go through that one by one. In Section 4, which was recommended by the Philippine Statistics Authority, is to add EWMFA definition. So just really quickly, the original Section 4, after existing definitions, is the defined terms in Section 4 do not currently include the economy-wide material flow account. So the section ends with the catch-all, which says, additional technical terms necessary for the implementation of this act may be defined in the implementing rules and regulations. So the proposed is to add the following defined term to Section 4. So this is from PSA. Economy-wide material flow accounts, a statistical framework for describing the interaction of a domestic economy with the natural environment and the economy of the rest of the world in terms of flow materials, waste and emissions as developed and maintained by the PSA pursuant to Republic Act number 11995 and consistent with the United Nations Environment Program methodology. So just a quick reasoning going through this is that the EWMFA is already being compiled by the PSA under PENCAS, so embedding the definition in the Act ensures that every reference to material flow accounting in the bill points to the same authoritative data set rather than inviting parallel methodologies. So we are amending this, and it really costs nothing. So it locks the bill to existing statistical infrastructure and removes a future point of friction with the PSA. So basically, ina-align sa nangyayari ngayon sa PENCAS with them. So they wanted to add that in the bill so that if ever, and when this gets passed, that it will be aligned already. Does anyone have any objections to this adoption? Is PSA here? Comsec? Dito ba sila? Yes, sir. PSA, yes, yes, yeah, you were recognized earlier. Do you want to say anything about this, or is everyone in concurrence? Any objections? Okay po tayo? We have a lot to go through. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. So next point is also still with the PSA on Section 6B, PENCAS aligned base language. So original is a consolidated national baseline including natural capital accounts, material flow accounts, and GHG inventories. So you are proposing a Section 6B, which is a consolidated national baseline including natural capital accounts, and then now with parentheses, asset flow and environmental accounts, economy-wide material flow accounts, and greenhouse gas inventories established through consistent with the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System under Republic Act number 11995. Yeah. with PSA, so 6B. So the reasoning is PSA notes that material flow accounts are a component of the broader natural capital accounting framework under PENCAS and not a parallel system. So rewording avoids duplication and clarifies that the bill builds on existing PSA statistical work. So it looks like a technical correction with no policy cost.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Kong Brian.
Mr. Chair, sorry. If we could go back to Section 4, I have a few proposed amendments.
Okay. Section 4, yes.
Okay. So under Section 4, Section C, I was hoping that it could. It's an addition. So we're
It's an
adding,
addition, right?
yes,
Okay.
we're adding a few subsections just for specification. It's mostly just technical terms. So
Okay.
the next section B, for materials or value chains not covered under RA 11898, covered enterprises shall refer to producers, manufacturers, importers, distributors, and retailers as defined in this act, subject to differentiated and proportional obligations under the National Circular Economy Strategy. Subsection C would state, no provision of this act shall be construed to expand EPR-related obligations to MSMEs for plastic packaging or other materials explicitly exempted under RA 11898. So these are really just technical terms for...
So adding further definitions.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll submit it.
Thank you so much, Kong Brian. Okay, we'll take that in and add to the definitions. While that is loading in our file so that everyone can see.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just one last.
Okay, yes, Kong Brian.
Thank you. Subsection R, recycled content. This refers to the proportionate by mass of post-consumer recycled material incorporated into a product or packaging, verified through traceable documentation and standardized measurement methodologies. Recycled content should exclude pre-consumer and post-industrial materials unless otherwise provided in the implementing rules and regulations.
Okay, so recycled content, no?
Yes.
That's okay.
And then single-use
it.
plastic product, a product made wholly or partially from plastic, not designed for multiple trips or rotations. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Kong Brian. We will be taking those in as in the bill, and then if okay, we'll revisit it that again in
Yes.
the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Kong. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Grace Mandigmapo from the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agriculture and Fisheries Standards. We have submitted our comments before, and we're thankful for the technical working group for incorporating most of our comments. But since food and agriculture have been already included in Section 6E, we would like to submit additional comments, particularly in incorporating food safety concern in relevance to circular economy.
Okay.
So as such, Mr. Chair, we have several proposals on the inclusion of food safety in the proposed bill, starting with Section 2 onwards. So we'll submit our proposed wording, Mr. Chair, to the committee. But for now, we'd like to emphasize that in Section 2 Declaration of Policy on the second paragraph, we would like to incorporate food safety from the start of the bill, which is on the Declaration of Policy on the second paragraph.
Okay, okay, got it. So this is an addition from your submitted position. So adding food safety sounds relevant. So I'm
If I
sure
may, Mr. Chair.
we can take that in.
Because the concept of circular economy has already been adopted in the agri-food system, and there have been several concerns on the reuse of water in agricultural production, particularly on food safety aspect. That is why we would like that to be incorporated also in the bill.
Good.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, thank you. I think well taken, unless there's objection, but I think that's good. Okay. If I may continue with PENCAS aligned base language, everyone's agreeable to Section 6B of PSA's addition, mentioned earlier, if you remember. But we'll go to the next adoption. I believe we should adopt. It's Section 6. There is a new subsection on environmental education program by the DepEd. Is DepEd here? Yes, ma'am. Okay. So the original has 12 sub-items, A through M, for what the NCES shall provide. So there's no explicit environmental education subsection. So what you want is a proposed new subsection, which is N, a national environmental education and awareness program for circular economy to be implemented in coordination with DepEd, TESDA, CHED, and other relevant agencies, ensuring that circular economy principles are systematically reinforced through formal and non-formal education systems. So your reasoning here is DepEd's April 2026 paper documents that the current K-10 science curriculum and post K-12 programs already contain entry points for circular economy concepts. So we're dedicating a subsection for the NCES to ensure that it's coordinated across those departments for education, right? So, I mean, it's clear we have to instill this early on to our students and our learners that circular economy is valuable for all of us, no? For long-term behavioral change. Yes, Kong Brian.
Mr. Chair, if I may propose an amendment to subsection C of Section 6.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so Section C currently states national circulatory targets and timelines subject to periodic review. That's the end of subsection C.
Yes.
I'd like to expand that.
Okay.
So subsection C would read, national circularity targets shall be based on existing sectoral baselines, infrastructure readiness, and cost assessment. For materials covered under RA 11898, targets shall not duplicate or conflict with EPR diversion targets, recycled content requirements, or recovery targets already mandated under RA 11898. The DTI and DENR shall jointly develop national recycled content standards with sector-specific provisions for food contact materials consistent with FDA regulations.
Okay. Thank you, Brian. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, it's here. Shall be based on existing. Okay.
I think this also goes back to the concern of the DA earlier.
Okay. When we say DTI and DNR shall jointly for content standards, will this require them to make a new plan for food contact materials?
Mr. Chair, I assume that
That's,
DTI
right.
and DNR would have to come up with a new plan for this.
Okay. Maybe we can ask. I'm okay with this because we want to expand because the definition may seem general, but I'm concerned about what DTI and DNR will say about this if it needs a sub-plan within NCES. No? But I mean, in theory, that sounds good. But I want to hear from DTI and DNR, if you guys are okay with this. May DTI? Wala pala DTI dito. Yeah, DTI, yes.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, we would like to confer this first with our principals before we respond.
Okay. Thank you. DNR? Yeah. DNR comment? But that's good. But I just want to make sure. Sorry. That's good, but I just want to make sure.
Yes, Honorable Chair, we shall also refer this to our principals for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could
Yes,
explain the purpose of this. Basically, we want to make sure that the targets that we're coming up with are actually evidence-based targets, and that the standards for recycled contents, etc., are maintained. And we believe that the ENR as well as DTI would be in the best position to be able to determine these targets for us.
Yeah, I agree. Let's just take it in first, but then pending the position of the principals of DTI and DNR. All right?
Excuse
Okay.
me, Your Honor. Hi.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Kim Rancis from Nestle Philippines. So just to say something on behalf of the industry and FMCG that primarily caters to consumers with concerns on food safety, especially if we are to incorporate recycled content into our packaging. I think it's very important to include DENR and DTI standards. I believe if it's DTI, then it will be the Philippine National Standards, which is under the DTI, that would be creating those kinds of standards on what will be considered food safe for our products that require food contact packaging. Because as of now, there's no technology that can replace sachets. That's the unfortunate truth. We do our best, of course, but the technology is just not there yet. So if we are to implement something like this, we would really need the support of the DENR, the DTI, and the FDA to ensure that any requirements from the industry would still promote consumer health primarily, first and foremost. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insight. And this unfortunate truth, right? Sachets, I mean, alam naman nating lahat pag pumunta tayo sa malapit sa dagat, kung saan tinatapon yung mga sachets natin. When we do cleanup drives, lagi namin nakikita yan, yung mga sachets, no? Yan, shampoo sachets, etc. But I do also want to note that you mentioned DTI, DNR, and FDA. Do you want to include that, Kong Brian? Should we include this in your proposal?
Yes, if we can include
Okay.
it.
So we'll put that in DTI, DNR, and FDA. Sige po. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, before we proceed
Yes.
to Section 7, because I assume we're almost done with Section 6, could we
Yes.
go back real quick to Section 5?
Okay. Section 5?
Yeah, so Section 5, Mr. Chair, reads currently very brief in one paragraph, but I just want to expound a little bit. So Section 5, I'd like to put in subsection A, which would read, harmonization with existing laws. This act shall be harmonized with Republic Act number 11898 or the Extended Producer Responsibility Act of 2022. Nothing in this act shall repeal, amend, diminish, or otherwise modify the obligations, targets, responsibilities, and compliance mechanisms under RA 11898 for plastic packaging and other materials expressly covered by RA 11898. The EPR Act shall remain the primary governing framework. This act shall serve as a broader policy framework that supplements and complements but does not supersede or contradict the provisions of RA 11898. This basically, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to establish a hierarchy also of the application so that we remove the ambiguity, right? And I feel like this would give a lot of our agencies the leeway to be able to determine how to move forward quickly. Maybe we can get some comments if anyone else feels otherwise.
Thank you so much, Kong Brian. Kung Ana?
Mr. Chair, because it sounds more like a boilerplate or statutory construction provision, perhaps it would be better placed towards the end, like the chapter 11. Chapter 11. Okay. Thank you.
So it encompasses the entire bill.
Just because it has to do with statutory construction,
Okay, yeah.
so
We'll put it in one.
So chapter 11.
Chapter 11, maybe insert that provision in
Under final provisions.
one of the final
Mr.
provisions.
Chair, I'm amenable to the suggestion of my mentor in the Committee on Rules.
Okay, sounds good. We'll put it in the statutory clauses in chapter 11. Okay, good. Final provisions. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. If I may just clarify, because I think I do agree with some of the recommendations in terms of the general provisions, but I think the specific reference to RA 11898 or the EPR law might be too limiting, because as far as I understand, the EPR law at this point is only focusing on plastic packaging. So if the bill covers all the other sectors, those provisions may not be applicable, actually, if we're actually specifically referring to 11898. So something that maybe can be further clarified, and maybe DNR also can come in on this. Thank you.
Thank you. So maybe in addition to what was mentioned, DNR, do you have any other laws that you want it applied to? Supervision. Yung mga laws. Okay. Yes.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Attorney Raul Academia from the PARMS Group.
Thank you. Yes.
Your Honor, RA 11898 initially focuses on plastic packaging waste. However, there is a chapter there is a provision in the chapter of the EPR law which actually allows the DNR to expand the coverage of the EPR law to other packaging materials such as glass, aluminum, paper, etc. So I think when
so attorney, you're saying it covers
everything that is a packaging material, insofar as it is deemed covered by the EPR law, or deemed included among the different types of packaging material under the EPR law.
Thank you, attorney. So does that answer your question, your concern?
Well, we do agree with the national EPR framework, which has been drafted already, which provides for the other product waste. But I understand to be able to operationalize that, it might require other enactments also, right? So other legislative action. So it's not automatic that it's actually provided for under RA 11898. The current provisions under 11898 are very specific to plastic packaging at the moment. So maybe we can broadly refer to some of the provisions, but not specify RA 11898 as appropriate also.
Okay. Okay, so the discussion now is, do we keep this harmonization with existing laws? Keep it general or included to make sure that it is harmonized?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah. We submitted our position paper in PARMS, and we included in section 5 to include this statement: to ensure regulatory predictability and institutional coherence, the administration, management, recovery, and compliance oversight of post-consumer solid waste, including the implementation of extended producer responsibility, remain under the exclusive jurisdiction of RA 9003 and RA 11898. It's important for us that there is no duplication, there is no overlapping of the circular economy bill and the existing bills that we have, the existing laws.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to apologize because I was talking to Comsec that um, the PDF you sent had a cut on the recommendation na kulang ng text box. Yes, sorry. So hindi na include yung section. Apologies. We're looking at it now. So sabi ko, saan ba yun? But I will take it in and then we'll come back to it later. Sige, yes.
Thank you, Chair. On this particular matter, we also support harmonization with existing laws. Currently, Chapter 5, Section 17 only talks about the regulation of single-use plastics, but in the food industry or in the agri-food systems, there are already food safety-related concerns on reusable and recycled food contact material.
Okay.
And on this matter, we would like this law to be harmonized also with food safety concerns related to or in compliance with RA 10611 or the Food Safety Act of 2013.
Okay.
So all these food contact materials, we would really we would really like these materials to be evaluated for its toxicological properties. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Just give context again. The bill is written in a streamlined manner, no? So we didn't include the harmonization clauses. If we do go this route, which is also seems like a good way to go, and we just want to make sure that we cover all the laws for this. No? So we wanted it streamlined and then make sure in the IRR that it gets harmonized. But if you want to put it in the bill, I assume we'll have to cover all the laws related to this. So we just want to make sure that if we go for, that the laws for this, we want to make sure that everything gets covered. Yes,
Mr.
Brian.
Chair. Actually, I have an amendment to Section 9 that might help with this. So, Section 9 is the Circular Economy Interagency Council section. At the end of it, I wanted to include a line that would read, the DENR as lead implementing agency for RA 11898 shall serve as the lead agency for matters involving plastic packaging EPR within the Council. A CE, or Circular Economy, EPR Coordination Committee is hereby created under the CEIAC to ensure policy coherence between this Act and RA 11898, to harmonize reporting requirements and to prevent the duplicative regulatory burdens on enterprise. So I think this solves the concern of DENR and also promotes the concerns of PARMS.
That's also one way to go about it, right? Instead of adding it as a statutory at the end, when you draft the plan with the IRR, it can be harmonized. No?
But at least this way, Mr. Chair, you would, based on this, we would actually have a council active on reviewing that specific provision. Because as they stated earlier, there is a subsection within 11898 that gets activated only when DENR actually starts looking into it for other materials. No, this coordination committee would thereby be the trigger in case we need to use or utilize that subsection in 11898, making sure that it's consistent with the framework of the Circular Economy Bill.
Okay. Yes, there's also that's also a good way of going about it. So, Kong Brian, which one do you recommend to the DWG? This way or the earlier one at statutory at the end?
Well, personally, if I had to choose between the amendment to Section 9 and this overarching amendment at the top, maybe Section 9, but then if we add in a little bit on Section 9 that it's supposed to be for the harmonization.
Okay.
Yeah, because it says specifically here to harmonize reporting, but not the harmonization of existing laws and regulations. So if we could write that into the amendment on Section 9, then maybe we don't need to include it anymore
At the end.
At the end,
Okay.
in final provisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
It seem I agree better within when they do the plan because there is also an IRR that they need to harmonize with. because if you do it at the end, then it's only the bill, right? So we want to make sure that when they do the plan, it's also harmonized with the IRR. So, okay. We'll leave this here. We'll take this as in section 9.
Well, let's leave it first, and then
We'll get back to it later.
I'll work on the wording for section 9.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So I want to go to section 8.
Mr. Chair?
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
Sunny Domingo, PIDS.
Ay, sorry. Okay. Yes.
Just to contribute that earlier exchange.
Yeah. The same discussion, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes.
So I think in items where we wanted to specify the institutions that are given responsibilities, I think we should, in general, refer to the to be created IAC, your interagency council, because you have all the institutions there, just to be well covered in terms of giving
so supporting the argument that should be in section 9.
And with regard to another point, with us anchoring most of our provisions with EPR or the EPR law, we are of the same sentiment or take that, well, EPR is a bit limited as an anchor, but we need to be aligned with the provisions of EPR. Because for one, aside from the covered industries, they are limited in terms of the obliged enterprises to just select large enterprises. And MSMEs are optional in terms of coverage and responsibility. So I think the CE law, if ever, should build on the EPR, probably add on to those provisions and coverage. So yeah, I think we have recommendations in terms of the very specific inputs, provision-wise. We'll just send those.
Okay, yes, please
later.
send those.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I agree with you, and I think that the reason for this bill is also to plug in some of those loopholes and to add to it. So, we'll take in your recommendation. Thank you. Okay, so yes,
Mr. Chair, for section 6, since there's an suggested amendment to section 6 sub C, so DOST supports the inclusion of this infrastructure and the technology needs assessment. However, the bill may further institutionalize STI-based planning and technology road mapping. So our suggestion would be we can add a paragraph that states that the National Circular Economy Strategy shall include a national...
add a paragraph as another subsection?
No.
Under C?
It should be section 6, that's after 9 months, then we can add another paragraph there. That's our suggestion. In order for us to be more specific...
Okay, after the subsections?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, so what is your recommendation?
Okay, so the National Circular Economy Strategy shall include a National Science, Technology, and Innovation Roadmap for circular economy transition, including technology readiness assessments, strategic R&D priorities, innovation deployment pathways, and emerging technology monitoring mechanisms. I will send, yes. So this ensures that circular economy implementation is supported by a long-term national STI strategy and technology roadmap so that we will be more specific on this aspect.
Okay, thank you. Please send over the addition.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. We'll go back to it later. Okay, so I'll go to section 8 because this is still PSA, so I want to get through this. So an anchor material flow accounts to EWMFA. So there is a proposed rewording from the original section 8, which has baseline scenario and national economy, circular economy metrics. The baseline for the transition shall be established using existing national data systems and internationally recognized methodologies, including the 2024 UN report on the baseline for circular economy in the Philippines insofar as applicable. So the proposed wording, in addition, is Section 8, Baseline Scenario National Circular Economy Metrics. The baseline for the transition shall be established using existing national data systems and internationally recognized methodologies. The economy-wide material flow accounts maintained by the PSA shall serve as the primary basis for measuring material extraction, trade, consumption, and emissions, supplemented by the 2024 UN report on the baseline for circular economy in the Philippines and other applicable methodologies. So it seems like adding the EWMFA will explicitly anchor all the circular economy measurements to PSA's existing statistical work. So that sounds like just an alignment. So I don't see any objections. Is there? Yes?
I do agree with the comments from PSA, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to reiterate our earlier comment on that one because it mentions the UN report, and I believe that refers to the UNDP published circular economy baseline study in 2024, which we appreciate that it has been mentioned there, but it's not really adopted as an official baseline data. So we would recommend not to mention that actually in the bill. Thank you.
Okay, that's a good insight. So you're saying that might be dated by the time it does get implemented. So we may no longer need to say 2024 UN report as a baseline.
Yeah.
So we will just align it with PSA.
Yes. Or we can, I have a proposed wording here, maybe
Okay, yes.
incorporating also the inputs from PSA, which could say internationally recognized methodologies and may draw from relevant national international studies, including circular economy baseline assessments conducted for the Philippines insofar as applicable and consistent with national priorities. Because we understand that after
That's
the
much
2024
better.
study,
Much better.
there's been a lot of that emerged.
Sounds good. Well taken. Yeah. Yes, we'll take in her recommendation. Taking out the 2024 UN report and aligning it with national and international standards and baselines. So can you please send it over? Yeah. Good. Okay, so moving forward with Section 9, adding TESDA as CE IAC member. We don't have to read it again, but does anyone object with TESDA being added? Wala naman. Okay, good. Just making sure, baka may mag-object eh. Okay, next. These are section by section for the adoption. So we will review later on because this is based on the comments. So just in case na baka sabihin nyo, oh, ano miss yung section na to, that doesn't mean that we're missing that section entirely if you have anything to say about them. But these are just from the comments that we want it adopted para cleared out na po to. So, sa section 12,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
may I be
yes,
acknowledged?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Joy Rico from the Budget Information Legislative Service of the DBM.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
May we just manifest our observations on Section 9?
Section 9, okay.
The Circular Economy Interagency Council.
Yes, okay.
Thank
Oo
you.
nga, wala kayo dun.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oo nga, ba't wala yung DBM dun?
May we manifest
Ako,
our
ilagay na yung
observations?
DBM.
May we manifest our
Okay,
observations?
approve. DBM. Nga pala, no? Pasensya. Hindi ko alam bakit na-miss namin yun.
Okay po. With regard...
May mag-object ba? Wala yung DBM dun sa council? Wala naman.
Hindi naman po.
Okay.
Hindi naman po yun. With regard to the establishment of the proposed Circular Economy Interagency Council to serve as the primary coordinating and oversight body on circular economy, Section 9 of the bill states that said council shall be supported by the Economic Development Committee of the DepDev as its permanent secretariat. May we mention that
Ma'am, so you're saying the DepDev will be the permanent secretariat?
The Economic Development Committee, as stated
For
in
the economic development. Okay.
as stated in the bill, Mr. Chair,
Okay.
of the DepDev.
Yeah. So you're reaffirming that?
Yes, Mr. Chair. May we mention that per Section 22 of RA 12145 or the Economy Planning and Development Act, the then NEDA board was renamed and reconstituted as the Economy and Development Council. So the Economy and Development Council is headed by the President of the Philippines. And under the Economy and Development Council are the different interagency committees that act as the primary advisory bodies of the Economy and Development Council. And one of the existing interagency committees under the ED Council is the Economic Development Committee.
Ma'am, sorry, which section?
Management Commission. DNR being the chair of the commission, DTI, DA, DILG are also members of the commission of NSWMC. So we would like to clarify if, since it is already stated here that secretaries of heads of the commission will be a member, I don't think there will. Is it okay if the commission, aside from the head of, will be represented aside from the head, because the head of the commission is the secretary of DNR, which in this case will also be the vice chairperson of the Interagency Council.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I think, so you're recommending we just not include NSWMC because many of the members are also included?
That is one way, one option, Mr. Chair, but we can also, since NSWMC is a collegiate body and it has private representations, we can also recommend that the private sector representative from the membership of the commission may represent the commission in this interagency council.
If that is the case, because on 4, there's 2 private sector representatives. So we want to make sure, baka magkadoble. But pwede namang internal na lang sa NSWMC kung sinong ipapadala. I believe we put them here para, kasi of course, they need to be part of this. So maybe we can keep, but if you're really pushing that we take them out because for redundancy, meron namang ibang heads or secretaries ng agencies or departments, and then meron namang 2 private sector representatives. If you're saying for redundancy purposes kung tanggalin yan, then mag-recommend ng private sector representative within the 2. So, does anyone have other opinion about this? We can keep them. Can anyone represent NSWMC here, or is anyone representative of them? Wala tayo. Sige.
Mr. Chair, just an added opinion on that. For considering the National Solid Waste Management Commission,
yes,
we should also consider NEC, the National Ecology Centers, also embedded and made more active because of the EPR law. So that one is more relevant in terms of us progressing via the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, the EPR law, and now the CE legislation, if ever. So NEC as well.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any others that we may be missing? NSWMC, NEC, just to make sure that we don't list anyone, but at the same time, we may not want it too large. But we can have affirmative action adding them to add siguro. We have how many?
Mr. Chair.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yes.
Mr. Chair,
can you please add to this discussion?
Particularly to the membership of the NEC. Right now, NEC is already headed by the EMB Assistant Director. It is already an agency under the DNR. I think that there will be a duplication of work if we also put the NEC here, which is at the same time also reporting to the National Solid Waste Management Commission.
Actually, sir, sir, if I may, if that's the case, then we should also remove NSWMC and just not include them in the NEC because they're represented by DNR and many of the heads anyway, and the private sector representatives. Dahil parang touch move ito eh. Pag in-add mo to, then at least yung iba, syempre sasabihin, kailangan sila i-add. Pero covered naman ng ahensya or department nila. So tanggalin na lang natin para may uniformity tayo. No? Okay with everyone? We'll be removing NSWMC.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Fatima Miliano from the DNR-EMB.
Okay, yes,
Since i-remove si NSWMC sa membership, pwede pong siguro I'll suggest that sa private sector representatives, just in the case of RA 11898, wherein private sector representatives specifically sila mentioned or identified like siguro relating to circular economy, pwedeng from the recycling, composting, or resource recovery and processing industry, or representative from manufacturing industry, packaging. Specific na lang po sila to cover din yung representation of the commission.
Okay, that's good. So basically making more specific ang sa private
Civil
sector
society.
and civil society. I mean, sana naman yung chair or vice chair hindi mag-a-appoint ng private sector or civil society na hindi po makapag-add value. But to add that protection, we can be more specific about it. So we will find a wording na pwede pong ilagay sa private sector and civil society, if okay with everyone. No? Lagay natin sa batas. Okay. Sa bill. Sige ba, we'll take that in. Thank you. Yes? Still on this section? Okay.
Thank you, Chair. We just mentioned DOH, FDA a while ago, so if we can include them also, particularly on the evaluation of food contact materials that are used as food packaging.
So as members, no?
Yes.
DOH and FDA.
DOH, FDA, particularly
DOH, FDA,
FDA.
yes. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Because we added earlier, then it's prudent to add them. Okay. Yes, okay, added.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just an added question.
Okay.
So we've identified the members of the IAC, but usually we have a separate secretariat for this. It's indicated in the provision that it's DepDev, but usually, for example, for the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, you have the NSWMC as your supposed legwork, and then you have NEC for EPR. So what unit will serve as your legwork or your real secretariat for this legislation?
Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you,
Actually,
Mr.
this is key because tinanong ko ulit yung sa conference last week, siyempre hosted by DNR. So tinanong ko ano ba yung suggestions dyan or yung sentiment dyan. So sinasabi nila, why don't we really go for DNR? Tapos may nagsabi, kung hindi, why not try DOST? So mukhang kahit doon yung mga heads nagkakaano pa. So once and for all, kailangan natin talagang i-finalize ito. I remember may mga conversations yan with our fellow colleagues na pinupush talaga yung DepDev. So that's the reason that I asked again with the conference last week, sino ba ang dapat mag-lead? So I think kailangan talaga natin mag-finalize. Because you're asking the secretariat will also be the chairperson. So basically, tinatanong nyo kung sino yung dapat mag-chair nito. Okay, so once and for all. Sa lahat ng TWG, ito na.
Mr. Chair.
Kasi ito na lang yung foundational question.
Mr. Chair.
Nagsambit ng bago pong yung, diba, ComSec, nagsabi po sila ng DepDev, ayaw pa rin nila talaga. Yung gusto ng mga colleagues dun that are involved with this, yan. Sabi, push talaga yung DepDev.
Mr. Chair.
So, yes.
Just another thought on this. Since we have NSWMC, we have NEC, maybe for CE...
so we didn't put them as members anymore.
No, because we have those units existing already.
Yes.
And they are acting as your very specific secretariat for those major legislations.
Okay.
Maybe for this one, we should just merge those existing units in terms of mandate. Just not to have redundancy in terms of the scope of their supposed work. Right? Because if we create another one, another very specific secretariat for CE, then you have three already that are functioning very similarly in terms of oversight.
It seems that there are different objectives. Even though that there are many similarities, I think attention to this circular economy would deem
It's your natural
required.
progression. You have your Ecological Solid Waste Management Act.
Yes.
You have your APR, and then now you have your most encompassing legislation, which is CE. So those are actually, natural progressions, legislation.
So you're saying collapsing the two and adding it here?
Yes, because mandate-wise, CE covers everything. It covers
Yes,
your
that's
Ecological
true.
Solid Waste Management Act in terms of provisions. It covers your EPR and builds on it.
Yeah.
So maybe just to get rid of those excesses and redundancies, maybe we could realign needs.
Interesting. Maybe can we ask DNR? What do you think of this?
Yes, particularly on the services of the Secretariat. No? Right now, the National Solid Waste Management Commission, by law, it has its own Secretariat. The Secretariat will be provided actually by the Environmental Management Bureau of DNR. I would like to give emphasis on this, that the Commission is a separate body technically with the DNR. And the DNR serves as the chairman, and as for its secretariat, the EMB, or the Environmental Management Bureau, is serving as its secretariat. Similarly, but in such a way that the NEC is also reporting to the National Solid Waste Management Commission. The NEC is headed by the EMB Assistant Director. I would like to, how do I say this? I don't think if the burden of being the secretariat of this circular economy law, or the secretariat will be shouldered by the DNR or the EMB right now, I don't think we will be capable right now.
Why do you say so?
With the current institutional setup.
Okay.
Because it's like this. The NEC right now, with just for its APR functions, we are short on both financial and human resources. It's the same with the Secretariat. The Commission, actually the Commission has it don't have its own funding, and most of its resources is already being shouldered by the DNR.
Okay.
So,
So
with the current
are you
institutional
agreeable
setup,
that we will collapse it into this to add to the council?
the membership of the DNR with the council, we are amenable with that. We are just not amenable that the secretariat services to the council will also be under either the EMB, either the Commission Secretariat or the NEC.
Okay, yes. I agree with that. Yes.
Just to add po, Mr. Chair. Organizationally po, the commission is under the Office of the President, established under RA 9033, and under the commission naman, established si NEC. And for EPR purposes, nag-expand po yung function kasi ni NEC. Kung magko-collapse din lang, siguro, not for the NEC to be integrated into the CE, into this proposal legislation. Pero siguro, we're proposing na sa DNR na lang siya. Kasi technically nga, yung mga, in the implementation of the APR law, kami po sa EMB, yung concurrently assigned to the NEC.
Okay. So your recommendation is DNR, Chair, Secretariat, pero collapsed ang NWM, NEC tsaka NSWMC for this Circular Economy Secretariat. Tama ba?
Well, practically, Mr. Chair, the IA's council will have its own secretariat, distinct and separate from the secretariat of the Commission and the NEC.
Okay. Okay, I think we're taking too long on this. I think we'll move on and then get back to it. Okay.
Mr. Chair, sorry.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Maybe you last on this so that we can move forward.
actually, this is on Section 10, if we're already okay with Section 9.
Okay, Section 10.
Yes, sir. If we can quickly manifest our comments. We note the inclusion of the BSP among the agencies involved in formulating the PCEIP. While the BSP supports the overall objective of promoting investments that advance the CE, the formulation and periodic updating of an investment plan, identifying priority sectors and value chain interventions is not within the BSP's core mandate of ensuring monetary stability and financial system stability. Thus, we suggest removal of the BSP from this list, as the identification of national priority sectors and activities both under the proposed NCES and the PCAIP is best undertaken by implementing agencies.
Okay.
That's okay, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you. Yes. Okay, so let's take out BSP.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so Section 12, the mandate or eco-design at the earliest stage from Design Center of the Philippines.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
So, yes.
Section 11, I have an amendment.
Okay, Section 11.
Sorry.
It's okay.
So for Section 11, the proposed amendment would be to include a line that says, for products and materials covered under RA 11898, in compliance with approved EPR programs and plans shall be deemed compliance with the corresponding product stewardship obligations under this Act, except where the Act explicitly provides higher standards on eco-design, repairability, or labeling, which shall be applied in a phased manner without prejudice to existing RA 11898 compliance requirements.
Okay, so harmonizing with the law. No?
Right. Basically that, and of course, we want to write in the specific part where it says that if we have higher standards, that should be adopted, but at the bare minimum, we comply with the minimum standards of 11898.
Sounds good, yes. Okay, I agree with that. Thanks, Kong Brian.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good
This is
afternoon.
Kath from the U.S. ASEAN Business Council.
Okay.
We would like to first thank the House Committee for always including and inviting the USABC to all of the previous TWGs. We have several recommendations, proposed provisions for the subsection for Section 11, Product Stewardship. So first is for Section B, we would like to propose revising the previous provision to optimizing material use and product design for circularity. The previous obligation, we're a bit worried that it might be overly prescriptive and mandating it as a specific design approach rather than an outcome. Second one, for subsection D, we would like to propose for it to be promoting responsible sourcing and traceability of critical raw materials within supply chains where applicable. The reason for this is there's no established international precedent that exists for consumer-facing critical raw materials for product labeling. For Section E, we would also want to propose for it to be revised to supporting reuse and repair systems where appropriate. The reason for this is also similar to the first one that I mentioned. And then for subsection E, we would like to propose for it to be supporting reuse and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me re-clarify. So for subsection E, for it to be supporting reuse and repair systems where appropriate. The reason for this is the repair obligation does not distinguish between components suitable for open repair access and those where unauthorized replacement poses documented safety or repair risk. And then for subsection G, we would want for it to be revised to providing return or recovery information through labeling or other appropriate means. And then lastly, for subsection H, we would want for it to be revised supporting or participating in appropriate collection and recovery systems in alignment with existing laws and regulations. We previously submitted a position paper to the House Committee last week as well. I think
Yes,
hopefully,
we received it.
Okay,
Thank you.
hopefully they would be considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, come Brian.
For along those lines, under subsection B on developing monomaterials and circular products, maybe we can expand this to be developing monomaterials, circular products, and other sustainable technologies. I don't know if that might be if I may ask, Mr. Chair, if this satisfies the concern of the chambers.
Yes, any comment?
So, for us, it might still be overly prescriptive. I think the reason why some of our members find an issue with the previous provision about developing monomaterial and circular products is that monomaterial design is not always technically feasible or environmentally optimal across all product categories. So a lot of our member companies say they have a range of product offerings not only from a specific sector. And we would want to make sure that the products that they have or that they are offering would make sure that the composite materials that they use would be engineered specifically for durability, safety, and performance. So we want to reframe the obligation to be optimizing material use and product design for circularity. So just to make sure that it's applicable for all different sectors.
Yes.
Yeah, we are in agreement with the comment, and we believe that if we can exchange the word, or instead of shall exercise, we put shall consider.
Okay.
Product stewardship. Yeah, it's
So more consideration
whatever
than like
appropriate
mandating.
technologies can be done, mas magaan, mas kaya ng industry.
Okay, we can take that in.
Mr. Chair, maybe we can.
Yes, come Brian.
Maybe we can word it instead of developing monomaterials, circular products, just developing materials and circular products and other technologies. So we don't have to specify monomaterial, but we can
Keep
still
it
adhere
more
to.
general.
Yeah, we keep it more general, but we include sustainable technologies.
Okay, let's define them.
I don't know if that
Technologies.
would that
Yeah.
satisfy the concern.
Can we ask? Are you okay with that?
Mr. Chair, just to add to that, I think the earlier exchange relates to Section 15 as well, because we're talking about the obligations of the covered enterprises. So maybe we can add a provision there specifying that covered enterprises shall develop circular economy transition plans, establish measurable waste reduction and resource efficiency targets, and regularly report material use, recovery, recycling, and circularity performance to strengthen accountability and monitoring.
Okay.
So that's
for the enterprises.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
To add on to that, Mr. Chair, we have a specific recommendation as well for that section. Maybe we can go on to that later, because it's all more or less along those lines, making sure that our recommendation for product stewardship is also in line with our later recommendation on the obligation of enterprises.
Okay, just want to note that we are on eco-innovation, okay? Because there's also for source reduction, waste management, and just transition for MSME. So if you go through just transition section 21, there's MSME transition support, for this: technical assistance, access to finance, etc. So just want to make sure that you noted that. Okay. So let's go to section 12, which is, again, on Design Center of the Philippines. They propose covered enterprises shall integrate eco-design principles at the early stage of product and service development, ensuring that environmental considerations extended throughout the entire product life cycle, from raw materials extraction to end-of-life management, in consideration of industry competitiveness. Enterprises shall prioritize materials that are easy to recover, dismantle, and degrade in compliance with the relevant industry standards, prioritize renewable resources, and take into account local and indigenous knowledge. Toxic substances shall be regulated per Republic Act number 6969. So maybe this also is to add to the discussion.
Mr. Chair, would like the phrase in consideration of industry competitiveness be added in section 12.
Okay. In consideration of
industry competitiveness.
Industry competitiveness. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
If I may suggest to improve the wordings in section 12 about eco-design, and if the other committee participants will agree, that we will correct that to delete the recover, instead easy to sort or disassemble and recycle. Basically, the circular economy does not design to recover, or which is
so easy to recover.
The latest part, but instead easy to sort, because the
easy to sort.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the chapter 3 pertains to eco-innovation, which is the start of the design. So the intention of the circularity is to make it the longest valuable as possible. So you do not resort as much possible to the recover, but the easy to sort. So we can state it as easy to sort.
Because this is in the start of the life cycle.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay. Sounds good. Thanks for that. Yeah.
And also, just to add, for this chapter, if we can also add another section for infrastructure design innovation, because the first three sections, 12 to 14, pertains to product or services innovation. But in order for the innovators, like the DOST, industrialize these concepts, there should be infrastructure innovations to industrialize this.
Okay. What is your proposed section?
Example, this is just my proposed wordings, but subject to approval of our sustainability and PSRC lead, because our position paper has not yet been signed. So, for example, an additional section, infrastructure-driven innovation, the DPWH, in coordination with DOST and relevant government agencies, shall promote the development of innovative infrastructures that shall strengthen existing circular systems through environmentally compliant and economically viable methods, such as mechanical recycling, and supports new solutions. So this is already for the long-term circular economy framework. So including advanced recycling, remanufacturing, which we have to strengthen in the Philippines, especially for the electronics products, bio-based material production, and composting facilities. This infrastructure shall reduce reliance to virgin resources and low-carbon economy, while improving the supply and price competitiveness of secondary raw materials.
Okay, thank you. Can you please send the wording for that to our secretariat? And I think that's it's going to be an impactful section. I was just talking to ComSec that when we talk about infrastructure and circularity of it, fact, may mga ibang bills that I've seen. In fact, one I passed also is for green infrastructure, sustainable infrastructure, my green building design. So all of that could be collapsed actually to the circular economy bill if you include infrastructure. So this is more encompassing. Do we have DPWH here? Yes. Agree kayo sa section na yan? Or agree but then depende sa wording?
We agree. We agree.
Okay. Sige. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take that in. Sige, next, let's go to section 13, sa STI incentive framework. This is also with the Design Center of the Philippines. They want to add a new paragraph. The DOST, in coordination with DTI and the Board of Investments, shall develop a science, technology, innovations incentive framework for circular economy technologies, linking publicly funded research and innovation outputs to market-shaping mechanisms, including circular procurement signals under Section 20, innovation challenges and prizes for priority circular economy problems, and regulatory sandboxes under Section 36 that allow safe piloting of innovative circular technologies and business models prior to full commercial deployment. So the reasoning is a bill mandates eco-design without an incentive framework for the underlying technologies will not move enterprises in practice. So kailangan meron tayong incentive framework with links to R&D for the demand side and the experimentation side. So the demand side is procurement and the experimentation side sandboxes. And recommended din ito ng DepDev. So I think this also will give DOST clear mandate.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
For Section 13, DOST supports this provision. However, in order for us to strengthen this section, we are suggesting the following paragraphs. Now, particularly, in order for us to have a clearer institutional mechanisms for commercialization, innovation scaling, and local technology development. We can add the following. I already forwarded this to COMSEC. DOST shall promote the commercialization, piloting, demonstration, and local manufacturing of circular economy technologies through collaboration with higher education institutions, research and development institutes, technology business incubators, innovation hubs, startups, MSMEs, and industry stakeholders. Priority shall be given to locally developed technologies and innovations that support resource efficiency, waste valorization, sustainable materials management, renewable alternatives, and industrial symbiosis. So the bill should support the full innovation pipeline from research to commercialization scaling. And this is in support with the National Circular Economy strategy that we gave, that was commented a while ago. On yes. Section 6.
Yeah, thank you for that. Actually, meron pang additional ang DCP.
Yeah.
Sa National Industrial Symbiosis Platform.
Yes.
Naman nila. So, as you mentioned, I just wanted to make sure that ang DCP is aligned with you.
Yes.
Because they did mention that, but they wanted to establish an open collaborative support mechanism.
Suggested section will come after Section 13.
With the National Industrial Symbiosis Platform?
The one that was shared a while ago?
Yes.
Yeah. After Section 13. So that they
a
will...
new section?
I think yes.
They're adding is another paragraph.
Oh, another paragraph only?
Another paragraph, yes. Pero Section 13 pa rin.
Okay. So that will be after that.
In fact, meron pa sila to add... So merong platform, meron open data, meron din shared services. So lahat ng facilities will be coordinating sa innovation na yan.
Yes.
And meron ding data protection and digital trust framework. So I'll just read it. This is from the DCP. Recognizing that the circular economy relies on digital systems for material tracking, product traceability, supply chain transparency, and consumer information. The DOST, in coordination with the DICT and the National Privacy Commission, shall develop a data protection and digital trust framework to govern all circular economy digital platforms established or supported under this Act. Such framework shall ensure that all such platforms comply with and consumers in participating in circular economy digital systems. So basically, digital traceability ito. So okay kayo dyan, diba?
Yes, Mr. Chair. And also, this support supposed to be the Section 8, which is on the on the circular economy metric. Supposed to be they should come hand in hand.
Okay. Sige.
But
We'll take that in also.
But I think DOST wasn't mentioned here, particularly
we are revising Section 8 anyway.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll add that.
Okay.
Tatanggalin natin yung 2024 year report.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then sa Section 13 also, PARMS, you suggested replacing EPR compliance with compliance with this act. Not just the EPR. Circular Economy Act. So I'm not sure if there might be, later on, but yes.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I want to go back to Section 12,
Okay.
but after you're done with Section 13, if you're...
Okay. Yeah, that's the last one.
Okay. So just real quick on Section 12, because I believe this is important. To protect trade we'll add another line that says, to protect trade secrets and proprietary formulations, enterprise shall not be required to disclose confidential ingredient compositions, manufacturing processes, or commercially sensitive information when complying with labeling or reporting requirements under this Act. The disclosure of critical raw materials shall be limited to information necessary for circularity, recovery, and regulatory compliance, and shall be governed by confidentiality safeguards consistent with existing intellectual property, consumer protection, and trade secret laws. Disclosure obligation shall not supersede the protections under RA 8293 IP Code and relevant trade secret provisions. The IRR shall establish secure, non-public mechanisms for any information deemed sensitive by the enterprise. So this is really just to protect trade secrets and other IP concerns.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Do you want to amend that with data protection so that it's into one?
Sure.
Maybe
subject to
within
style,
subject
however
to
you
style.
would like to
Okay,
include
but
it.
we'll ensure that the essence of that will be put in.
Yes,
That's good.
I just
So-
don't want to undermine private sector.
Yeah.
You know, of course they have certain companies are already making headway with their brands and their products, and we don't want to unduly affect the market.
Yes, agree. Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, good. Yes.
Sorry.
Section 13.
Yeah, with in
Okay.
relation to the management of confidential information, I would just like to share our experience in the
Sige,
sa
please.
APR
Please do.
because of that confidentiality clause. Nagiging disadvantages siya at some point to the regulatory agency because the obliged enterprises, especially under those with the PROs, would always invoke the confidential information provision of the law. Hence, we were not really given the data required or needed for us to be able, especially in relation dun sa audit, because under APR we have the APR compliance audit reports. And hindi nila dinidisclose yung mga individual recovery and diversion targets of the member OEs of the PROs. Siguro if we can be possibly qualified na, but not really to, parang itie din yung hands of the regulatory agency. Kasi naman, ang sinasabi rin naman namin lagi, covered naman kami ng RA 6713 and other relevant CSC rules and regulations as far as divulging or sharing confidential information of OEs. Siguro lagyan din ng clause to some extent that will also give not really free hands sa regulatory agency, pero yung hindi rin masyadong restricted.
Well,
Okay, I see what you're saying. Go,
Mr.
Brian,
Chair,
what do you think?
we have industry players present here. What my suggestion is, what if we do it the other way around? If an industry player feels that a product or has certain ingredients or materials that should be covered by confidentiality because of fair competition or to protect their IP, they can appeal to the DENR to ask if it can be covered under confidentiality.
Okay.
The other way around.
Yes, yes. What do you think?
Actually,
DNR?
sir, sa EPR ganun siya eh. The OE will identify those information they deemed as confidential, and then the DNR will acknowledge such confidentiality or certify that such items as that be kept confidential or indeed confidential. Pero kasi ang nangyayari po sa totoong buhay, sila na yung nagsasabi na this information are confidential to us. Pero yan na naman, we respect naman yung mga trade secrets, mga anything about sales, mga naman po, protected naman po yun. Kaya lang yun nga po yung ginagawa. Parang nabaliktad. So kami na yung nagre-request sa kanila ng data or information. Parang hindi na po nagawa yung process.
Kailangan din natin support kayo dito eh. So baka ganun na lang kung Brian, we will make sure that they can appeal.
I mean, I would rather have it that the companies appeal that certain
I
things
think we have
be covered in confidentiality.
Nestle is here, right? The other industry. Yeah. Maybe just to hear from you.
Yeah, Your Honors, I think just for this specific provision, we support to cover under confidentiality, just to prevent declaring, kunwari, the composition of recycled content in packaging, because those are very much trade secrets. It goes into pricing, and those are very confidential for all of these, for all of us companies. So I think that's what we are trying to refer to. Ma'am, I'm not the one implementing EPR for my company, so I'm not sure what other companies are not declaring as confidential naman. But I think to your point, I don't think that really goes into the suggestion of Kong Brian, since it only covers really formulation of packages and of packaging and other proprietary processes.
Okay, it's because you're saying it's under eco design.
Under the proposed amendment, it would really be an intellectual property issue, as opposed to just declaration of EPR compliance.
DNR, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, siguro clarify na lang din, Mr. Chair, that as far as confidential information is concerned, it applies lang mga third party, but not as to the regulatory agency. Kasi it's really confidential naman between the regulated and the regulator.
Tsaka kailangan nyo malaman yan, di ba?
Yes po.
Kung hindi, this is the essence of
And we have
this is the essence of the bill.
Yeah, we have FOI din naman po, and we really don't share information like may magre-request for research purposes and everything. Hindi po ganun kadali. Hindi po, we protect data sa
Kung Brian, if you're okay, appeal process na lang. Diba?
I would, whatever the TWG recommends.
So, okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because farms comprise of obliged enterprises, we get requests from obliged enterprises of information that they would like to remain confidential. Like, they wouldn't want data for different companies to get to derive the kind of volume, the market, the percentage market contribute, the market share of one brand to another. And so that's the reason why there are confidential information that that OEs would like to not to divulge. But in terms of what is requested in the law, which is the weight of what is being diverted, those are being shared by the OEs. So in terms of the producer responsibility organization, we comply with whatever the law is asking us to do. It's asking us to provide.
So if this is required, they will comply.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So let's move on to section 14. So circular literacy programs. This is from DepEd. So your proposed is an insert into section 13, actually. Sorry. It's because there's an original section 14 covers eco-labeling, and it's DepEd proposes the circular literacy reference for section 14, which DepEd refers to as covering research, innovation, digitalization, and technology transfer. What they want is the DRC in coordination with DepEd, JED, TESDA shall promote circular literacy programs to build public, learner, and workforce understanding of circular economy concepts, digital substitution technologies such as blockchain for material tracking and digital product passports, and the practical application of circular business models. Just want to comment on this that I want to agree, but I want to rephrase blockchain and to make a more technology neutral wording. We just came from the Cadena Act with the ICT committee, and but blockchain may be the most mature technology for cryptographic hash, but then it may be another technology in the future, so we have to take that out and make it more technology neutral. So, So I approve, but we're just making it technology neutral. Okay. Yes, let's go to section 15, the CEIAC authority to classify covered enterprises. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, section 14. You have
section 14.
Section 14
from
okay.
DTI po, Engineer Paulo Aiza.
Okay, yes, sir.
Sir, we would like to propose to change DTI to DTI Bureau of Philippine Standards. The first.
Okay, so more specific.
Yeah.
DTI and Bureau of Philippine Standards. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Section 15 is recommendation by PARMS. The original is covered enterprises shall undertake, etc. But you want to introduce a new paragraph, is to ensure regulatory adaptability and sector-specific responsiveness. The CEIAC, in formulating and updating the National Circular Economy Strategy, shall have the authority to determine, classify, and delineate the definitions and coverage parameters of covered enterprises. The CEIAC shall exercise its authority on the basis of objective criteria, including sector readiness, material footprints, macroeconomic impact, and risk to public health and environment. This shall enable a phased, proportional, and tailored application of circular economy obligations across industries. So you're doing this to create predictability for enterprises and to ensure obligations scale with sector readiness. So may we add a risk to public health and environment? Actually, it was my addition, but if you're okay with that. So it's not solely industry favorable. So merong health and environment. Actually, yun lang naman. Okay, yeah?
Chair?
Yes, for section 15? Yes?
Thank you, Chair. So consistent with our previous recommendation, Chair, on the inclusion of food safety, would like to
yes. Okay,
have
good.
an addition under this section 15. In the food industry, we do have what we call food valorization. The food waste are turned into something else with higher value. And in doing so, we would like to ensure that when we do that, if these agricultural byproducts are turned into human food, animal feed, or biofertilizer, they shall strictly comply with the provision of RA 10611 or the Food Safety Act. In the agri-food systems, we do have mechanisms now of converting food waste into value-added products, and we have to ensure food safety of these products.
Yeah,
Thank
good.
you, Chair.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you. Please send it over also. I did. Okay. 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 So next is section 16. It's still recommended by PARMS is to remove share costs.
Mr. Chair?
Yes. Section 16?
Still for section 15.
Section 15, okay.
We've mentioned several times covered enterprises, but I think we have failed to define covered enterprises in this bill. Because if you're just going to refer to, well, we have a definition for enterprises, but not covered enterprises. For EPR, we have a definition for obliged enterprises, which is very limiting.
Yeah.
So I think we
in
need...
the earlier discussion, Kong Po added covered enterprises.
Okay.
So it's defined.
So it's a broader definition compared to the obliged enterprises under APR?
Yes, can we show the definition, please?
Section 4C.
4C. C1, ayan. Yeah, covered enterprises. Yeah. So if you can take a look at this and see if you're okay.
Hindi po mabasa, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
It's too far.
Oh, nga, layo nga. So it reads, covered enterprises refer to entities to which the obligations under this act apply subject to the following harmonization standards. C1, for product category of materials and activities covered under Republic Act number 11898, EPR of 2022, covered enterprises shall have the same meaning as obliged enterprises under RA. So, ano naman to? Aligned sa ibang laws?
It's still the EPR law being transposed here.
EPR,
the obliged enterprises as
obliged
defined in
enterprises, and then merong ding C2, which for materials or value chains not covered under the 11898, covered enterprises shall refer to producers, manufacturers, importers, distributors, and retailers as defined in this act, subject to differentiated and proportional obligations under the National Circular Economy Strategy. So, adding on to that. And then C3 is no provision of this act shall be construed to expand EPR-related obligations to MSMEs for plastic packaging or other materials explicitly exempted under 11898. So, Kampo, thank you for that addition. May C4, wala na, di ba? Tatlo lang. Sir, do you have any addition to this?
So the third item there
Yeah.
doesn't give that obligation to the enterprises to go beyond what's indicated under APR. Is that a right interpretation of that third item?
Other materials exempted.
I think it has to be construed as going beyond the definition of the EPR and the responsibilities indicated there.
Okay. Okay. Despite this, what is your suggestion for covered enterprise?
Just a very broad definition coming from today's assessment. Covered enterprises include obliged enterprises under the EPR law and other identified large, medium, and small enterprises to be identified by the CEIAC eventually. Because if we're just going to be consistent with the obliged enterprises under the EPR law, it's very limiting. You'll just be covering identified large enterprises, and you'll be excluding MSMEs in general. No?
Okay, so best to include MSMEs.
Maybe not micro because they are too small, but small and medium. Just food for thought, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
as much as we want ideally to cover,
all of
even
them,
micro, but it may be too difficult for micro enterprises.
them
Just
to
my
comply.
2 cents on it, but maybe we can include it and then see the proper wording for it, but to include MSMEs. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, just echoing the earlier comment on covered enterprises, Mr. Chair, to broaden the definition, especially since we have a provision on incentives for covered enterprises. So I think primarily the MSME should be able to access those incentives also as they transition. So it should not be limited to large enterprises, which is the scope for the 11898. So
yes, good.
maybe we can also propose a definition after this. Thank you.
Yes. MSMEs should be able to avail of those. Makes sense. Yes.
What my understanding is that there will be a framework that will be developed by the different departments like DTI will be developing its framework, and it will cover the industries. That's the only time that they will define who are covered enterprises. Is that accurate? That's the reason why we don't say that covered enterprises are only the obliged enterprises, but it can be expanded depending on the assessment for creating or development of the circular economy.
It's two ways to go about it, right? It's you put it in the law, or you make IRR define. So they're saying let's define it. So, yes.
Yeah. I understand also, Mr. Chair, under Section 6, the National Circular Economy Strategy, there will be sectoral roadmaps to be developed.
Yes.
So I guess it's where we can further define also the scope. But I do agree that there should be a broad definition of covered enterprises under the mother law. But
So
I
are-
think the
yeah.
specificities can be under the sectoral roadmaps.
Okay, so we're saying keep it, well, included, but general to make sure that it's covered, but then let they are determine specifically who are covered or not. So your agreement with the suggestion earlier to make it in the IRR instead, in the roadmap. Are you okay with that? Which one are you leaning towards?
That's also possible, Mr. Chair. But I think just for everyone's alignment, I think it will be helpful to have a general definition under the law, which we can build upon as we develop the IRR and also the sectoral roadmaps.
Okay, we'll take that consideration.
Your Honor.
Anyone else want to talk about this, because it's also a key
Sir Chair.
component of the bill?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, in relation to paragraph C.3, no provision of this act shall be construed to expand EPR-related obligations to MSMEs. The general rule, as we understand it from the private sector, is that the only large enterprises are covered, and the general rule is that MSMEs are not covered. However, there is a provision, or there is a proviso under Section 44B of the EPR law, which says that MSMEs will be covered if the establishments carry the same brand and the total asset valuation of those MSMEs exceed 100 million pesos, or that of a medium enterprise. So unlike here in C.3, the exemption for MSMEs is absolute. It's not so for RA 11898. And
So it will be conflicting.
It will be conflicting, Your Honor. And then even the second, there is also a phrase there, or other materials explicitly exempted under RA 11898. If I recall correctly, there are no packaging materials that are exempted under 11898. It's just that there are materials, or there are packaging products that are not yet covered but are supposed to be covered under a framework to be developed further by RA 11898, or I'm sorry, to be developed further by the DENR under the EPR law.
Okay, thank you for that. So C3 is in conflict, and so we have to either take it out or reword it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just a quick suggestion there. Maybe we should give the responsibility to the IAC in terms of determining how much we expand the coverage of covered enterprises as defined here. So,
okay. So you wanted it defined earlier, now you want to leave it to the IEC?
Oh, no, I mentioned earlier in the definition with that caveat that...
okay. That if ever gets defined there, just make sure that to define it.
So including obliged enterprises under the EPR and other identified large, medium, and small enterprises to be later identified by the CEIAC, just to be safe. in
Okay,
terms of
yeah,
supposed
thank you for
coverage.
that. So we'll take this discussion into consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So that if ever it could be in the roadmap and IRR instead. But thank you for your insights. Good. Okay. So aside from the other two adopts, just on DepEd, on the Unified National Green Skills Strategy, it's actually already on section 22 or 26. Don't worry, we're not going chronological. This is just for adoption. We can go back to the earlier ones after this. But they expanded section 22, which is currently TESDA shall develop programs for upskilling, reskilling workers affected by the circular economy transition based on skills, needs, assessments, and labor market information. But DepEd suggested that the proposed revision should be skills development and unified national green skills strategy is to ensure a just transition and the availability of a skilled workforce for a circular economy. The DOLE, TESDA, DepEd, and CHED, in coordination with all relevant government agencies, shall implement a unified national green skills strategy. This shall include A, institutionalization of circular economy principles, life cycle thinking, and resource efficiency across all levels of the Philippine education system. B, the development and regular updating of training regulations and competency standards for green jobs to match the evolving requirements of circular production, eco-design, and sustainable material management. C, the integration of green skills into all technical, vocational, academic, and professional development programs. D, support for displaced workers and transition industries through retraining, upskilling, and social protection measures. And E, the promotion of public-private partnerships and incentives for enterprise providing work immersion, enterprise-based training, and other work-based learning opportunities in circular economy activities. So basically not only TESDA alone, it's DepEd, CHED, TESDA, and I would say that, TESDA is under DOLE, so we have to console that whether both of them are included, or is it just DOLE or just TESDA. But the Unified National Green Skills Strategy spans, obviously, the basic ed, tech voc, higher ed, and professional licensure. So, yeah, mukhang okay naman to. May objections ba dito? Para we can move on.
No objections, Mr. Chair. No, we just have to review this one again. No. By the way, I'm Michael. I'm from TESDA.
Okay.
We previously had our comments, but seeing this new recommendation, we'll have to review it and submit back to ComSec.
All right, please take note of this, then let us know.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. In fact, the next one will be also from you, which Section 30 says there's an explicit TESDA role. And you, as TESDA, originally it says Section 30 enumerates agency roles, but does not include a dedicated TESDA subsection. Beyond TESDA and CHED, skills development and academic integration. So you expanded it by saying TESDA shall provide assessment and certification services, develop and update training regulations and competency standards, and related programs support the circular economy transition aligned with the Philippine qualifications framework and integrated into the National Technical Education Skills Development Plan. CHED shall encourage higher education institutions to serve as living laboratories for circular economy practices and integrate circular economy into academic programs. So just aligning with the competency-based certifications. No? So you're okay with this? You're still pushing for this, right? To be adopted.
Under the roles and
Section 30.
Section 30 and national government agency, just to further reflect TESDA's mandate under existing laws, we respectfully propose that the provision for TESDA be refined to read, TESDA shall provide assessment and certification services, develop and update training regulations.
So that's the one I
yeah.
just mentioned, because that's from your comments.
Yes,
yeah,
Mr.
is that
Chair.
the same?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're okay with that? So,
this is it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So last two for adoption. So Section 35 from PARMS is standardized enforcement actor categories. So original is any covered entity that fails to comply with this act may face the following graduated sanctions. Your proposal is any covered enterprise, local government unit, or mandated public institution that fails to comply with this act may face the following graduated sanctions, etc., etc. So you're including LGU or mandated public institution. So it actually improves legal clarity and enforcement. No? Yeah, do you want to comment on this?
We understand that all departments will have to do its own circular economy strategy. So whoever should implement the strategy and who are not able to implement the strategy should also be penalized. So not only the covered enterprises.
Okay. Good. Any objections? Wala objections. Okay. Yeah, for accountability. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Although, since the law is transition oriented in the nature, also I guess we need to have some considerations also in terms of the nature of I guess the activities that will be penalized or of sort. I think administrative might have, I guess, it depends. I guess there needs to be some balancing also to make sure, like for LGUs, it's not automatic for them to be able to adapt this. It depends on their capacities also, but we need to be able to provide them support. But I guess it depends on the nature of the activities that will have to be penalized. So I wouldn't say that we need to have a blanket provision for this. I guess it has to be on a case-to-case basis also. It has to be risk-based. It has to be proportionate also.
Okay, I understand the qualifier for that. I think because LGUs are supposed to make the circular economy plan. So maybe it could be if they don't make the plan, but that's one. And then we can determine from there. Maybe DILG can help in terms of what kind of sanctions, but that will be part of the council, I think, would be best. Pag ganun. It's my 2 cents. Para, yes.
May I ask a question, sir? Sir, RA 11898 has reportorial requirements imposed on obliged enterprises. And there are also, among the prohibited acts are providing false, inaccurate information. May I know, Your Honor, if Section 35 is adopted as is, under the refined bill, which law will govern insofar as penalties under RA 11898 for the prohibited acts specified therein as compared to the prohibited acts under Section 35 of the CE Bill and the corresponding administrative sanctions?
So it's silent here, but
can we?
It should be with otherwise violates any lawful order, rule, or directive issued pursuant to this act. Yeah, I think it's not explicitly stated, so it is silent.
Your Honor, I think for purposes of for fairness, insofar as the obliged enterprises are under RA 11898, may we propose as follows?
Okay, yes, please do so.
Section 35. Saan na ba yun? Your Honor, sandali lang po.
Yeah. Sige, we can go back to that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, okay. But thank you for pointing that out, because it does seem silent. We can harmonize it with other laws, or if you want to add more enforcement penalties to it, because it's supposed to be in the IRR, and I'm certain we can say that can be harmonized, or at least and or what they come up with. So as a basis, but then if they come up with IRRs that are more enforcement for penalties, that will prevail.
Can I read a proposal, Your Honor?
Okay.
For your,
Please do.
for your
Please do.
consideration, sir.
Yeah.
Section 35A, relationship with RA 9003 as amended. The penalties provided under Section 35 shall not apply to obliged enterprises under RA 11898. Non-compliance with the requirements related to the EPR law, including registration, reporting, and achievement of diversion targets, as well as violations involving products declared as non-environmentally acceptable under Section 29 and 30 of RA 9003 shall be subject to the penalties prescribed under the said Act 9003 as amended by RA 11898. If that's
So your concern is obliged enterprises.
Our concern, Your Honor, is that there may be a duplication of prohibited acts under RA 11898, which amends RA 9003 or the Solid Waste Management Act, and the additional specifications of prohibited acts under Section 35 of the CE Bill, if in case the CE Bill is passed into law. So an obliged enterprise, what can potentially happen is that an obliged enterprise will commit the same act but will be penalized under both RA 11898 and the CE law. Kawawa naman po yung obliged enterprise.
Doble yung
Doble naman po.
sanction. So, what do you recommend with this?
Sir, in relation to prohibited acts under RA 11898, they shall be penalized under RA 11898 to the exclusion of the application of the CE Bill, particularly Section
So, kung
35.
na-penalize ka within the dun lang.
Dun lang
Kasi
po.
para hindi mag-duplicate. Unless there are provisions that are,
different,
additional,
Your
the
Honor.
different
Yes.
enforcement. Okay,
Yes, Your
sounds
Honor.
good. We'll take that in.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you. Thank you
Mr.
for
Chair.
pointing that out. That's good.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Can we make it apparent that this bill actually amends the EPR law as well as 9003 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act? So what we have in terms of provisions here actually trumps the EPR as well as 9003, if ever. Because EPR amends 9003, and then this actually is an improvement of EPR. So maybe we should frame this bill as an amendment to the EPR law as well as applicable provisions under 9003. Just
Yeah, thank you. We'll take that into consideration dahil baka maraming mababangga ng mga provisions. So we'll take that into consideration.
Thank
you. Yeah, thank you. Yes. Do you want to add opinion on this?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Maybe just to further clarify in terms of the scope of the CE bill, I think there's been some confusion in terms of the scope because I hear that it's more, there's the understanding this is more on waste management, which I believe is not right, because that's why also we've been pushing for DepDev, because we believe that the circular economy bill, a law, should be able to push for an economy-wide transformation, which goes beyond environment, solid waste management. So it's part of it. EPR is a crucial enabler for CE, but it is complementary, but it doesn't, maybe some provisions will need to be really harmonized, reviewed to make sure that there's no overlap, but I wouldn't really say that it is actually similar or duplicating the EPR law. But I think we need to be clear that this is economy-wide transformation. It's not just waste management, but it's really going beyond waste management. Thank
Yes,
you.
I think thank you for that. So I think the earlier discussion was on the enforcement side, but I think you're referring to just the previous comment. But I agree, it's a mindset shift, no, with the entire economy, from the entire supply chain instead of just on the waste side. So yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so the last part for adoption is Section 34 for NCS periodic review mechanism. This is actually from TESDA. So your proposed is regulatory and strategy review mechanism instead of just regulatory review mechanism. So from every 5 years, the CIAC shall conduct a comprehensive review of this act and recommend necessary amendments. The National Circular Economy Strategy shall be reviewed every 3 years, with comprehensive review every 6 years, to ensure responsiveness to technological advancements, labor market shifts, evolving sustainability standards, and updates to the Sustainable Finance Taxonomy and the ASEAN Framework on Circular Economy. So it's because the workforce and technology shifts faster than 5-year regulatory cycles, so it's every 3 years. And then a more comprehensive review every 6. So it's timeline for review, which we can adopt because we understand. So every 3 years. I think wala naman objections naman dun. All right. Okay. So
Hello.
cleared now sa adoptions. And then may iba na, sorry, I had to maybe reject or see if we can defer for further discussion. I mean, of the body. Because I think, okay, let's go to...
Mr. Chair. Sorry, good afternoon. This is Winona Silverio from the PPP Center.
Okay.
If we can go back to Section 20, we just have a minor comment. It's just a refinement to the language.
Okay.
In the position paper that we submitted, we proposed that for PPP projects, it would be read as for PPP projects, integration shall follow the applicable provisions under Republic Act number 11966, otherwise known as the PPP Code of the Philippines and its IRR, just for clarity and to avoid possible mix-up with projects undertaken under the NGPA. For consideration, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It says for PPP projects, integration shall follow the applicable PPP code.
Yes, we propose to add applicable provisions under Republic Act number 11966.
11966
yes,
to add.
otherwise known as the PPP Code. Thank you.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
Mr.
Yes.
Chair, can we go back to Section 19?
Okay, Section 19.
Yeah, so strategic communications and environmental awareness. May we request to kindly include the Department of Science and Technology here?
Yes,
since
let's add the DOST here.
we have science communication framework that we use in communicating the outputs of our research and development.
Yes, let's include DOST.
Yes, thank you. Can we proceed with the next one?
Yes, actually, should we add DNR also? Actually, nakalagay and other agencies, no? But this is just specific. But let's add DOST.
Yes.
And then maybe add test the National Skills Plan. Because DepEd was mentioned and JED was mentioned. So add the test that. Yes.
For Section 21, DOST recommends explicitly identifying the roles of existing innovation infrastructure, such as the regional innovation centers and the like. So our suggested addition to this one is this one, which I will give to COMSEC. So it will be read as, the circular economy innovation hubs may build upon existing national and regional innovation infrastructure, including technology business incubators, regional innovation centers, shared service facilities, and science and technology parks, to address what was presented and asked a while ago. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Chair.
Section 21. Yes.
Yeah, we'd like to repeat our
yes, yeah, I think
our
SIPARMS have
recommendation,
several recommendations.
On Section 17.
Yes. So
it's on
you're replacing
regulation
SUP.
of single-use plastic.
Yeah.
So we'd like the title to be revised to regulation of non-environmentally acceptable products. There is already a system in place under RA 9003 of listing, scheduling of prohibitions, and determination of phase-out periods for non-environmentally acceptable products. And it should remain as a statutory mandate of the National Solid Waste Management Commission.
So you're proposing that it is established under sections 29 and 30 of Republic Act number 9003.
Yes, sir. All those non-environmentally acceptable products already are potentially NAYAP, and it's already being studied with the OST under the National Solid Waste Management Commission.
Okay. Yes.
Your Honor, if I may clarify, right now, there is no ban on any single-use plastic product. As a matter of fact, in general, single-use plastics are actually allowed to be recovered under RA 11898. Now, there is a process, the process actually under RA 9003 sections 29 and 30 is to identify products that are non-environmentally acceptable. And then once specific products are non-environmentally acceptable, the law mandates a phase-out period unless the non-environmentally acceptable products are number one, they are not commercially available, or number two, the disposable products that are deemed to be NAIAPs exceed more than 10% of the value of the product sought to be prohibited. I'm sorry. Or letter A is unless the non-environmentally acceptable product has commercially available alternatives, or if the commercially available alternative exceeds unless if the cost of the non-environmentally acceptable if the cost of the alternative to the non-environmentally acceptable product costs more than 10% of the disposable product. So the reference here to single-use plastics under Section 11 is based on a false premise of Section 29 and 30. So we respectfully submit, Your Honor, that Section 17 should be either deleted or it should be revised to remove references to SUPs, because what Section 29 and 30 refer to are NAIAPs, or non-environmentally acceptable
So you're
products.
saying with the NAIAP only language, you're taking out single-use plastic from the Act, pretty much, di ba?
Actually, sir,
It's actually good, if you're applying NAIAP-only language, that means single-use plastic will not being covered.
Sir, single-use plastics can potentially be deemed to be, or sir, not single-use plastics, but certain specific forms of single-use plastics can be deemed to be NAIAPs. And they will be prohibited provided those two conditions concur. One, that there are alternatives that are commercially available, and the alternative should not cost more than 10% of the disposable product.
Okay. Any comments? Thank you, Attorney.
If I may propose an alternative, Mr. Chair, and I think this was also a feedback from NAST, if I'm not mistaken, if possible to just remove that particular section, since this can be subsumed under the National Circular Economy Strategy, since plastics and packaging is already identified as priority sectors where a sectoral roadmap will also develop. So that can be further expounded as part of Section 6, but we don't necessarily have to have a standalone section for single-use plastic, which is very prone to debates also. So, yeah. So for consideration, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, anyone else? Yes, Dinar.
Chair, dun sa roles of the agencies, if DepDev shall be the lead implementing agency,
Wait lang, dito muna tayo sa discussion.
sa enforcement and penalties.
Yeah. So recommendations, take out the entire section.
The private sector is fine with the proposal to remove it and then just keep it probably under the Section 6 referring to NASD.
Yeah. Can we be more specific with this, or do you want it completely out?
Your Honor, our position is in as much as well, the problem with Section 17 is that it seems to single out as single-use plastics, when in fact single-use plastics is actually covered under Section 29 and 30 with the proviso that those forms of single-use plastics to be deemed as NAIAPs will undergo an evaluation process by the National Solid Waste Management Commission. There has to be a determination that specific forms of SUPs have commercially available alternatives, and the cost of the alternatives cannot exceed more than 10% threshold, 10% of the product that is sought to be deemed as NAIAP. So, and then once it's deemed as NAIAP, or once certain forms of SUPs are deemed to be non-environmentally acceptable products or packaging, then the NSWMC can order a phase-out or a reduction schedule. So there's a process, Your Honor. So really, Section 17 can actually be deleted in as much as, number one, as it is, its foundation is on a false premise, and secondly, there's already Section 29 and 30 of RA 9003, Your Honor.
So I think, yeah, so if we take this out, then it will be with the roadmap and the IEC, no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, but maybe for the record, I just want to share that, you know, the Philippines has 103 million sachets daily, which is 52% residual. So this is very important that we address this concern, whether we have this here or in the implementing rules through the roadmap. Kailangan talagang ma-address itong concern. We are the #1 polluter of plastics. So there really has to be teeth in addressing this. So it's just a question of whether we trust that it will be put into the IRR with enough or more teeth. If you think that that will be solved, or here in this bill, no? So I want to hear more opinions before we move forward.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, my suggestion would be not to remove the section. It's us to be more general in terms of stating the inclusions, and just be very specific in the IRR eventually. So it's not removing this, because we need to stress, as you mentioned earlier, the need to intervene.
Yes, thank you. Kong Ana?
Mr. Chair, quick question. What's the legal basis for the 10% threshold that was mentioned earlier?
Ma'am, it's mentioned. Your Honor.
Yeah, please go ahead. Attorney. Yeah.
Your Honor, the basis under Section 29 and 30 of RA 9003, RA 11898, or the EPR law, was supposed or is intended to amend the provisions of RA 9003. But sections 29 and 30 continue to be in the original version of the Solid Waste Management Act, and particularly the 10% threshold, as I understand it from our colleagues in the Committee on Ecology, it was placed there to protect the consumers.
And moving forward, apart from protecting the consumer, which is also going to be balanced against the greater considerations of this bill, what was the legislative intent for keeping it at 10% when VAT, for example, is 12%? And I understand that 10%, I mean, how does this add up to the cost of goods? Or I'd be grateful actually also for the cost-benefit analysis for pegging it at 10%.
Ma'am, to be very honest, the 10% was there since the year 2000. Under Section 9 of RA 11898, there's also a provision that non-necessary, non-replaceable plastics shall also be phased out, but in accordance with Sections 29 and 30 of RA 9003. So in other words, RA 11898, insofar as SUPs are concerned, they also added additional criteria in order for specific forms of SUPs to be eventually banned.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm just concerned that 10% might not reflect the true environmental cost of plastic. So if, for example, if PENCAS is actually enforced, then we might actually be seeing a greater value to compare this 10% threshold to.
Ma'am, just to clarify, the 10% threshold is, I think it's on the disposable product to disposable product, because a product would have a part that's consumable and a part of the product that is disposable. That is I think when we refer to the disposable product, it refers actually to the packaging of the product. So it doesn't refer to the entire cost of the consumer product.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One more thing.
Yes,
Would
please,
that
go
at
ahead.
least force a redesign so that everything happens at the product design level before pegging the cost at the getting it to the threshold point? And because it causes a redesign of something more fundamental, then maybe the savings can happen also there. Other markets are able to make do or provide consumers with better packaging options. Why can't they do that for us?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, we had the January 30 event, and DNR actually recognized a lot of companies, OEs, diverters, who exceeded actually who did beyond what is required by law. So we had about 34 companies who were recognized. And mind you, for example, Nestle, who's here, they go for a more environment-friendly packaging. And they exceeded actually the diversion target. So, well, DNR is here also with us. So the target of 50% has already been achieved. And we are now at 60% level. And in the last Solid Waste Management Committee meeting, there was a report from De La Salle, Dasmariñas, saying that the data that was extracted from Manila Bay is that there is a reduction on the significant reduction on the waste collected, plastic waste collected, and they attribute the results from the EPR, the implementation of our EPR law.
Yeah. Thank you. Can I ask Koana to enlighten us more about what other markets are doing compared to ours? Because you mentioned it earlier, so I just wanted to get your word on it.
This is all anecdotal, Mr. Chair, but I go to some stores or convenience stores also in Southeast Asia, and I noticed they coffee sachets have better packaging or more biodegradable packaging than what we find here. And where's the fairness in that? It made me wonder.
Yes, can you respond?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Nestle.
I think most companies in the Philippines, especially foreign multinationals, they happen to have their headquarters outside the Philippines. And more often than not, developments in packaging, once they are present outside the Philippines, where much of the R&D takes place, they're eventually adopted here in the Philippines. And ma'am, right now, the National Solid Waste, if I may digress a little bit, I think in 2025, there was a case that was filed against the DENR by an NGO that was seeking to expedite the production or the production of a list of non-environmentally acceptable products. So the NSWMC right now is in the process of developing that NAIAP list. They initially submitted a list sometime in 2025, but there is an obligation under the EPR law to expand that list. So it's a process that the NSWMC is undertaking right now, and part of that NSWMC team, members of the DNR are there, members of the DOH FDA are there, the DILG is there, the DOST is there also. So hopefully, that team can eventually expand the list of non-environmentally acceptable products and packaging, and eventually we are going to see a program reduction and production schedule of those items that are eventually going to be included in that NAIAP list, ma'am.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. I'll see Nestle first, please.
Your Honor, I just, on the side of Nestle at least, I want to reassure you that we really are looking for a solution to the sachet issue. I believe years ago, even before I was with Nestle, we already piloted recycled sachets in, I think, somewhere in Visayas. I just forget which city. However, they put it side by side with regular plastic sachets versus the recycled material sachets, and consumers would still actually go and buy the plastic sachets because they can feel the difference. It feels safer, and even when we saw our products, like after 1 month, nagbubuo-buo na yung powder because the available technology we have right now to use for food contact packaging, it's just not there to ensure consumer safety. So that's one. That's a big issue for us. Of course, at the end of the day, we want to make sure our consumers will be able to consume safe products, right? That's why it's important to have FDA, DTI, and DNR on board when in creating the standards for food safe packaging. So second, I just forget which of our products, but some of our products are already what we deem designed for recycling. Naka-mono material na sila, so they will be easier to recycle than regular sachets. However, and this is something that we have been working closely with the DENR, we are trying to push for a recycling facility that will be able to handle all of these sachets and be able to produce them for post-consumer recycled material. Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of facility here in the country, and Nestle can't do it alone. So we are always coordinating with the DNR and the industry. How do we do this? Because we really think that's the solution for circularity. Parang food packaging to food packaging talaga. But it's a long road ahead. Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Because as an industry player, are there other industry players here? I mean, aside from, of course, Consolidated. So, how do you think the Philippines can reduce plastic pollution?
Your Honor, I think it's very hard right now. I mean, I am speaking strictly at least for food packaging. I think for other countries like Australia, our KitKat there uses 90% recycled packaging, so it's possible, and that's something.
So why is the Philippines the number one polluter?
I can't answer that, Your Honor. Why we are the number one polluter, but at least when we drafted our own circular economy plan for Nestle, we saw really the gap is in the infrastructure. It's quite expensive to establish that kind of infrastructure that will produce plastic that is food safe. I think other companies are doing for medicine. That's probably easier because they only use PET bottles. That's easier to recycle it. But sachets, it's hard to go back to glass because our economy is just not good enough yet, unfortunately, to accommodate bulk purchases in glasses or tins. That's why it's hard.
So you're saying it's possible, but then when I asked you why is the Philippines number one, you said, well, you can't answer that. But you're saying it's an economy that cannot support an infrastructure requirement for it to be more
for the recycling
plastic pollution.
Yes, Your Honor.
Free or at least reduced.
Yeah, because I don't. On a personal note, I really don't think we can get rid yet of sachets. Because there will always be a need for that single purchase, given our economy level right now. So it's important that we establish that recycling infrastructure to accommodate all the plastic waste that's being produced.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Anyone else want to, at least this topic? Sorry, see you first.
Yes, if Your Honor, if you may allow me, for better appreciation of the NAIAP under sections 29 and 30 of Republic Act 9003. It was already made mention earlier that the Commission was actually sued by an NGO. This was actually because the Commission failed to release additional list on the NAIAP. On the original wordings of RA 9003, it should be in 1 year, but the law itself limited the Commission on what to list as NAIAP. It's because the alternative should be available and the alternative should not cost more than 10% more. Okay? Sometime in 2024, 2025, earlier, at around 2020, 2021, there was already 2 products that were already listed. I would say products, not single-use plastics, because we specify what kind of plastic product. For the first 2 NAIAPs, it's plastic coffee stirrers and plastic soft drink straws. Then sometime around 2025, additional 4 products were already listed. Some samples were toys, which we have to consider the toxicity, the toys and paints and other products with BPA. So we are focused primarily on the product, not a swiping statement of single-use plastics. That's number 2. And number 3, we have right now some specific products, some types or samples of single-use plastics that will undergo study if they may be included in the list of non-environmentally acceptable products and packaging. We have to first, for better appreciation of everyone, not all materials may be listed as NAIAP. It should undergo study. We can't just outright ban a specific product or packaging. So it has to go on studies, and right now we have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we have around 10? We have around 10 products, some of which are samples of single-use packaging that will go a study. And based on the results of that study, it will then be referred to as an additional to the list of NAIAP. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Mr. Chair, for the information of everyone, in support to the development of this as alternatives to single-use plastics, the Department of Science and Technology invested a big laboratory on, we call it the biodegradability, ecotoxicity, and compostability laboratory, wherein industries with problems or who want that their packaging materials be tested if it is food safe, it is also safe for the environment, they can just have it tested at the DOST facility or the DOST BEC laboratory. Thank you.
Okay, so many are saying that it requires further study. There are nuances into it. So in relation to this bill, it seems that multiple stakeholders are leaning towards putting it in the roadmap and the IRR. Anyone else want to comment on this? Because if this is not in the bill, we have to ensure that a stronger mechanism is in place in the roadmap and the IRR. So, does anyone want to comment?
One last comment,
yes, please,
Mr. Chair. Just probably as a compromise, instead of removing single-use plastics, I think we can include it and frame it as such: regulation of single-use plastics and other non-environmentally acceptable products. And then under that, since we don't have to mention the National Solid Waste Management Commission or RA 9003, because it's already, well, a more than 2-decade legislation with such provisions, I think for currency, we should identify the CEIAC as recommended. The CEIAC shall establish the standard for production and consumption reduction for single-use plastics and other identified non-environmentally acceptable products. Just that very general statement as an alternate for what's included in Section 17 right now.
Yes, can someone respond? Yes, Attorney.
At this point in time, Your Honor, to include single-use plastics specifically, we feel that it will probably be uncalled for. Number one, it's discriminatory, and there is really a challenge, and it really deserves serious study whether or not a specific form of single-use plastics can be prohibited even in the absence of commercially available alternatives and alternatives that are affordable, especially for food, Your Honor. A lot of those of us who are in the food industry have actually sought to reduce the amount of plastics that we previously used. For example, if we look at the main food, it used to be in styrofoam. Now it's in clamshells. It's in paper packaging, but with a plastic liner. In terms of plastic cups and in terms of instruments for drinking beverages, it used to be plastic cups and plastic glasses. Now we use paper cups and paper glasses, but with a plastic lining. The plastic lining is necessary in order to protect beverages from leaking out and from leaking out of the plastic and from leaking out from the cup or from the plastic or from the cup or from the glass in order to destroy the integrity of the paper component of the cup or the glass. So much as we would want to totally eliminate plastic, there is no material available as of today that would allow us to keep the food instrument, to keep the integrity of the food instrument, and to ensure that the food is safe for our consumers. So removing or including single-use plastics in Section 17 when there are provisions under sections 29 and 30 of RA 9003 and section 9 of RA 11898, I think the provisions there should already suffice in order for government to make the appropriate study and to make a determination in the long term whether a particular type of an SUP can actually be banned, having in mind the need to protect consumers and the need to make food affordable for our people.
Yeah. You're technically correct that it's in section 29 and 30. You're technically correct there. But I think this bill, the reason why it's there is section 17, is that single-use plastics is a broader category. So NAIAP is one tool to reduce it. I'm already thinking of, but sige, please, Attorney.
Your Honor, aside from section 17, I'm sorry, aside from sections 29 and 30, I think we can also find solace that there are additional criteria under section 9 of RA 11898, which actually which actually says that unnecessary, irreplaceable, etc., or unnecessary, irreplaceable single-use plastics can actually be prohibited. So it's not as if section 29 and 30 operate in isolation of all other laws, because under RA 11898 it also provides additional criteria that will allow single-use plastics to be banned with merit. Provided that they are irreplaceable, unnecessary, etc., Your Honor.
Okay, if I may ask, because you mentioned it was since the 2000s. No? When was NAIAP, the process under NSWMC was under RA 9003, which is in 2000, correct? Yeah. Okay, since then, how many have been added to the list?
Your Honor,
because you're saying it is very few. That's why civil society complain about it. Because look, we're 26 years past it. How can we guarantee that it's going to more will be added and stronger mechanisms will be in place?
Your Honor,
because again, there are 163 million. I think sachets per day, 52% residuals. We're like the largest contributor for plastic pollution in the ocean. It has been 26 years that NAIAP has not added any additional lists. No? So enough. So that's the reason why I put it on my reject list. No, unfortunately, but we can keep going at this. But there is a wording that I'm already thinking, but in a phrasing for this, just to make sure that it also encapsulates the broader category of single-use plastics. But I want to hear from maybe one or two more. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. We don't have any problem with the current wording of Section 17 because it is important, and there are single-use plastics that are approved as food contact material. What we are after is, since this chapter is on sustainable consumption, we would like to have another section on the regulation of recycled and bio-based packaging. So we were thinking already, since we do not have any regulation on this particular sustainable packaging, particularly for food, we would like this to be included, hopefully, in this chapter on sustainable consumption and sustainable packaging, because we would like to ensure that recycled or bio-based packaging, particularly those that will be used for food, are evaluated as safe as food contact materials. Also, when we do have, there is already an FAO publication regarding this on the food safety risk associated with plastic recycling, reused packaging products, and sustainable alternatives. And they do not only affect the food safety of the food itself, but also affect the shelf life of the food. So hopefully this can be taken into account on the regulation of alternative packaging materials.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. We'll take that into consideration also. Okay, so ganito rin, so that we can move also. because I'm worried if we don't put this in the bill now, we're not sure if the roadmap or IRR will include, no? Because it's been, again, 26 years. So here's my, to make sure that NSWMC acts, no? So in section 17, so please show this, that the regulation of single-use plastics, NSWMC shall establish a single-use plastic production and consumption reduction schedule. The schedule shall include the identification of single-use plastic products that meet the criteria for non-environmentally acceptable products under Section 29 and 30 of 9003, which shall be subject to phase-out per said act. And B, reduction targets market-based instruments and timelines for single-use plastic products not classified as non-environmentally acceptable, taking into account technological feasibility, availability of alternatives, affordability of essential goods, and the development of domestic recycling infrastructure. So single-use plastic applications essential for medical, hygiene, and food safety purposes shall be subject to differentiated treatment in the schedule. So this includes those that are mentioned earlier, where we can take into consideration the market-based, economic conditions, the market demand. We take into consider infrastructure. We also take into consideration food safety. But at least this will ensure that it makes NSWMC move to make sure that we can have a reduction mechanism for single-use plastics. No? So that is my proposal to the TWG. Yan po.
Yeah. Instead of mentioning, for example, phasing out of single-use plastic products, probably putting it on a different side, making it positive, probably putting resources to identifying alternate materials to replacing the single-use products. Because the challenge now is what alternate material can we use to replace the single-use plastics. So probably that provision should now indicate forcefully that we have to provide resources to identify alternate materials to replace the single-use products.
So you want to take out single-use products and say alternative?
Yeah.
Yes, Pan?
Yes?
We have to put resources and now probably also identify groups who will execute identification of alternate materials.
Okay. Okay, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I may also add, to align also with the circular economy principles here, to also maybe also mention more upstream circular economy strategies to be prioritized in terms of ensuring that we minimize single-use plastics, including not just the alternative materials, but also how do we actually reduce and avoid through other delivery mechanisms, delivery systems such as refill or actually promoting reuse. So it's not always about just replacing it with another material, because there are many other options that we can consider as a priority. And also just to mention, since we have the National Plastic Action Partnership, which is also being led by DNR, where UNDP serves as Secretariat, we're also developing a National Plastic Action Roadmap, which could, we're hoping that this can be released this year, which could actually be useful also for this once enacted. So this could actually be complementary also later on. So I think the single-use aspect will also be addressed to some extent, but we'll have to see. But it's broadly covering also plastic pollution.
Yeah, so you're saying that with the single-use plastic reduction roadmap?
Plastic Action Roadmap, National Plastic Action Roadmap. So it will tackle also single-use plastics, but also addressing plastic pollution as a whole.
And then what is the enforcement mechanism for that?
That's something also that we're still working on.
Yeah, because without an enforcement mechanism, okay, so there's an argument that there's no alternative. But it's really because industry has not been able to invest in studies to make sure that there are alternatives. So this is an enforcement mechanism that makes sure that industry does find ways to look for alternatives. So So that's
Just
why
to-
I'm asking the enforcement
Yeah.
mechanism, because with all due respect, if it's a single-use plastic action plan, what is the enforcement mechanism to ensure that we are looking for alternative sources for single-use plastic and to reduce our single-use plastic pollution?
Yeah, there's another actually roadmap that was developed previously with support from World Bank and adopted by DNR, the single-use plastic roadmap. But this one is broadly covering plastics. But we'll definitely coordinate also with the Congress also, just to make sure that we're in alignment here. But also just to mention that we're working very closely with FDA now to promote upstream measures. Maybe not so much on the food aspect yet, because it's quite tricky. But for non-food products like personal care, cosmetics, I think they're really looking at adjusting some policies to promote refilling, mainstreaming refilling for non-food, and that's something also that we can maybe look forward to. They're also looking at doing a policy sandbox for this. So this will very much complement what we're discussing here.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your work also. I know that that's very valuable. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah, Leslie?
Your Honor, just very quickly, since you were talking about investing on solutions to the sachet issue, that's why we would also like to emphasize the importance of incentivizing our upstream efforts. This is something that we've been working very closely with the DENR. They've had a lot of public consultations together with the DOF to incentivize EPR. It's really expensive for companies to not just comply, but to find these solutions. No, as we know, virgin plastic is still so much cheaper than using recycled material. So I think it's really important that we have those incentives, not just for large enterprises, but again, even for MSME. So I know it's part of this bill, but I just really like to emphasize that again. Thank you.
Yes. I hear you, and I do want to say that, repeating Kong Ana's point, that it's not necessarily the cost per the price, no? Because you're saying that there is no there's a price to meet the current design, and the current margins. So the Filipinos are paying for this, not only economically, but even environmentally, and even for health. No? So this will come back to us when we talk about diseases, when we talk about things that are not environmentally friendly to us, which is much more of a cost when it comes to our natural disasters. So I believe that the cost is intangible. No? I mean, when we talk about not necessarily the paying capacity, but really even when we talk about the margins of the industry vis-a-vis our environmental and health concerns. No? So, Kong Ana, I see you're nodding your head. Do you want to say anything? You're okay. But we hear you, and I appreciate that. So, yeah. Sige, okay. Yeah?
Mr. Chair, for Section 28.
Section 28, okay.
Yes. This is for the Circular Economy Implementation and Innovation Fund. So while DOST supports the creation of the Circular Economy Implementation and Innovation Fund, clearer provisions on the R&D financing and innovation deployment are recommended. So the following are our recommended additions. First, we can add under the allowable uses, like letter I, support for the pilot scale demonstration facilities, technology validation and commercialization of circular economy technologies. Letter J, grants for collaborative research among government, academe, industry, and startups. And letter K, development of open access scientific databases and circularity monitoring systems. So with this, now we can have a dedicated innovation financing mechanisms which are necessary to accelerate the technology adoption and to answer the queries which were presented a while ago.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, well taken. We can add this. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, May I be
Yes.
recognized? Still on Section 28, on
Okay.
the creation of the fund. I'm Joy Rico from the DBM.
Yes. And you're part of the council.
So, Mr. Chair, on Section 28, may we reiterate the economic manager's policy stance during the 19th Congress on the creation of funds? And in the interest of time, I'll just provide a copy of the joint letter to the Secretariat.
Okay, but essentially, what does it say?
It's diplomatically worded, Mr. Chair, but it's leaning on the negative.
So respectfully decline. Kumbaga. Okay, sige.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, yes. Thank you, DBM. We, yeah. Parang marami nang nakikitang at narinig kong ganyan dito. But thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Another clarification, particularly on Section 28. Because it says here in the last paragraph that the CEIIF shall be administered by DepDev. Would it be possible if we said here that the CEIIF shall be administered by the chair of the Circular Economy Innovation Council? Because we're not yet sure who will be chairing this one, right?
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up,
Yes.
because I think we just have to make a decision.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we will align it with that. Okay, so thank you so much. I have gone through what I think should be adopted. I understand. Thank you so much, especially PARMS and our UNDP, our stakeholders, DNR, everyone, for submitting your position papers and comments. We will be with the committee secretariat. Maraming salamat for this. Kong Ana, thank you for attending. I know the other colleagues as well. I know we've gone, spent pretty much the entire afternoon, but the rest that we were not discussed, I believe is deferred. No? So for further consideration yan. So maraming salamat po sa inyong time. We look forward that, this circular economy bill is a mindset for our economy. So sana po na the entire life cycle na to make Philippines a more sustainable and livable place. So maraming salamat po. Thank you. So motion to adjourn? Or adjourn, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.